that painting that had a tin of soup thrown over it today, that soup won't have got near it. It'll be in a case. It's probably not even the real picture. Just saying. But it'd be protected from that kind of thing, because that kind of thing might have been tried before, or would be a risk. Even people's bloody fingers. Somebody walks in there and they've got like a Big Mac and they're like, oh yeah. So it's symbolic. So in essence, it's just association. You know what this is. This is an extremely famous picture, The Sunflowers by Van Gogh. This is it, supposedly. And here we are throwing a tin of soup over it. Of course they didn't throw a tin of soup over the raw painting. They wouldn't have the guts to. And then that could be then seen as being like, why the fuck are you here? And the true intent, because it's like, it's like you're at the stage here where people who want to act out are using that Just Stop Oil as a vehicle to do so. Soon, Just Stop Oil will start to attract thugs who will see those people where there's been like video of people from the general public, and I'm like, well, you're better off actually just accidentally falling on one of them and hurting them. What? Well, yeah, it's like accidentally nudge him into a lamppost and crack his head. What? So, well, yeah, because they're sat on the road and they're saying, if you touch me, I'll press charges, and the police are watching to protect them. So I'm like, oh, well, you need to accidentally land on them or accidentally, nudge them. Get them out the fucking road. It's like, there's a wisdom, isn't there? A kind of common sense that would say, if you slap them around a bit, they'll fucking stop. But that's wrong, isn't it? If you slap them around a bit, they'll start to get support from sympathetic fucking thugs. Who'll turn up and say, oh, I want to do my bit to save the world. I'll protect you from these people who are trying to shift you. So it's like, they'll start recruiting their own heavies and they only have to turn up. It's not as if they're vetting people, is it? It's not as if you turn up for an interview to join Just Stop Oil. I dare say you just join an app or a group, or go on a forum and sign up, even pay money to join or something like that. Like those who are organising that, I'm not so sure they're in control of it, because all they do is catastrophise, keep on and on and on. And the nightmares that they give these people are like, we'll be eating each other alive in a few years. And it's like, do you not think we might have done something before that happens? You're kind of thinking like human beings are fucking useless sacks of shit who can't go do anything, and we need you to tell us that there's a huge fucking disaster awaiting. It's like, well, there's a huge disaster awaiting anyway. We're all going to fucking die. Whether we all die at once or we all die alone, one at a time, because that's what happens. It's like, this is morbidity. They're tapping into horror with the catastrophising about what the world's got in store with climate change. It's nuclear apocalypse without the nuclear weapons. The people who are the ideological sort of leadership. See, the thing is, they've found fucking leadership and organisation from old relics of CND, old relics of the fucking left. And it's like, oh yeah, let's catastrophise. Once upon a time, they used to say if there was nuclear war, the greenhouse effect, right, would freeze us to death. And then when it became about climate change, the greenhouse effect would roast us all. It's like a weird old flip, that. When the nuclear doomers ended up basically scurrying nuclear weapons off the fucking table, which is what they did, and pushed it out of the culture, turned it into a cult or a fad, a meme, stopped actually addressing how much money we spend on these. No, stopped addressing that because people got sick of hearing it. So it's like, okay, we were making a lot of money scaring people with the prospect of nuclear annihilation. What we're going to do now, we need a new one. About this. Oh, perfect. Yeah, let's just jump straight on at that. So they did, and that's what you've got. It's only a matter for people who were afraid, right? Afraid to be able to make money frightening other people. They get addicted to it. Doomers. They live in death. Or they live in a projection of a future that's lazy. Fucking lazy to just look down the road and see nothing but ruin. It's like, well, you know that you're going to make that happen for yourself because that's the path you've set yourself on. It's like doom thinking brings on doom, individual doom, and enough individual doom will bring about global doom in the end. It's like them fucking people throwing that soup. Right, the first thing they'll have destroyed is their own families. And then destroyed as many friends as they could get to destroying, and now are getting to destroying artwork in the name of saving the fucking planet. It's like, if that's all that's left and them are the lengths you're willing to do, it's like, what happened to you? What happened to your fucking life so you ended up being that? And it's like, you wetwear kid. It's like, on a different day, they'd have been brainwashed working for somebody else. Same talent, it's wetwear. Same talent, it's like, that's the raw material, just looking at where you find that person, that in the hands of someone else, they'd have programmed that person to be a different kind of terrorist. Looking at every kind of extremists, extremism and terrorism and things like that, they can't happen without wetwear. And it's like, these are eco-extremist terrorists. If they were Islamic, they'd be going at people with knives and blowing people up, hitting people with vans, but they're not. They're green extremists who think they know everything because they've got a perfected view of the world. In their perfected view of the world, there's always someone to blame, and there is a right of it and a wrong of it. That's the world's not obeying. They're angry. They were told equality, racism, and sexuality, anything goes. They were taught that, and then they were kind of racially divided as to say, you know, once I did notice that someone was a different colour from me, and for a minute I was sceptical about them because they were wielding a knife. And I thought, if I'd just reached out and been friendly with that person and treated him like somebody normal, maybe I should feel guilty, maybe I'm racist somehow. They're able to brainwash kids like that. It's like everything's targeted at the 12-year-old. Everything's targeted at the target reading age. Did you know that? Reading age of a newspaper like The Sun. They like it where, just as an example, I'm not knocking The Sun, they assume that their audience has a reading age of 10. So it's like, if we fire our language down to what a 10-year-old will understand, people will understand it. And it's like, well, 10-year-olds will understand it too. It's like the inappropriate shit that's been taught to kids that gives them fucking nightmares. They've got a world full of real problems and real dangers, and then they've also got a head full of nightmares where the miseducation system has taught them that they're being hard done by endlessly. They've been given all these magic spells that don't work, all these, when they talk about stereotypes, and they call it a stereotype for it, for a girl to leave school, get married, have kids, right? Provide home and foundation, and then do pretty much whatever she likes with her own time. Be the boss, be that manager. Call that being a slave. And call it a stereotype. An old gender stereotype, call that. And dismiss it as being that it's lame. So that they don't know that they've got purpose, especially young girls like that. They don't actually know that they have purpose and what they had of value. They'll have spunked it years ago. It's like see them girls throwing that soup. Do you think they've got the pronouns up front in their online bio? Do you think they might have? And the answer is yes, because they've tried all sorts. They've had to go at everything. They've done as they've been taught to do in order to mature, which is have plenty of sex, have lots of sex. And not having sex means there's something wrong with you. It means they come from a subculture that judges itself by who's fucked who and who's fucking who. And those who aren't fucking anyone are seen as being outcasts, as to say, you can't get laid. You can't even get laid. And they've gone round that merry-go-round and it's driven them insane. It's taken all the trauma of their childhood, which may have stayed in their childhood, and dragged it into the present and fucking exploded it in the face. And they've gone from normal but reasonably dependent stupid person that can be reasoned with and become full-blown, bang. Can't tell the difference between what's real and imagined. Complete rebellion. One side, extroverted, acting out. Other side, inverted, deeply depressed. And then they're looking for answers to this. And it's like, wait, it can't be all the fucking, can it? I enjoy the fucking. It can't be the drink. I enjoy the drink. It must be something else. It's the world you're living in. The whole thing's completely unjust as to what? Do you know that black people were enslaved up until like 200 years ago? Really? Yes. And you know, let's make it about the whole fucking world. The appeal of that escape to someone who's been in that way, fucking traumatized, where the whole world, what you had to give, your future, you may have just thrown it away. You've destroyed that about you that would allow you to properly bond and have healthy kids. You've thrown it. I always used to know this. They used to always cry about it, wouldn't be, and be really sentimental about the death of children, things like that. And it's like, well, I know I can't be a mother, but they've forgotten that now, and it's like you've got all these kids been raised by kids in the world who somewhere in the world there's a truth that they weren't planned, nobody wanted them, and those that were and are looked after will have been shamed. Rich kid, you know, triggering that is to kids who didn't like grow up on a council estate. When a lot of us kids who grew up on a council estate get together, right, and we talk some sense, and maybe our experience has given us an edge above someone who was, I well and truly looked after mummy and daddy, bought me my first car, and then it'd be like, so you had no pressure on you in your early life to make a wage. You didn't have to struggle. You didn't have to really join the workforce till you were 25, 26. And I'm like, well, yeah. Fucking rich kid knows nothing. It was the last time you were in a fucking gang fight. What? You know nothing, rich kid. Few of us get together and start to throw that. They don't like that the rich kids can't actually handle that. They fucking hate it. Well, it's alright for you to say that. It's like, when they'll throw down hard on like people that just go to work, make your way in life, stand up straight. Like the advice that Jordan Peterson gives. You get someone who blames the world for their problems, right? And you come and tell them that will just actually trigger them and make them worse. It's like, you think I haven't already fucking tried that? You think I haven't already tried that? So the Conservatives don't give a positive message in their positive message to the poor. They don't. What good does it do me? It's like I faced hardship the likes of which you wouldn't even believe if I told you. You'd be like, oh no, he's making a bit too much of this, isn't he? By how poor I've been for the last like 15 years or so. How little I've survived on. They'd be like, oh, well, obviously, you're not trying hard enough. It's all about you. It's like, you can only examine yourself for so long until you maybe come to realise maybe it's not just you, maybe it's others as well, and maybe the world, for someone like myself at the bottom, as to the way I see it, is a way that rich kid isn't able to see it, and he knows it. And he's frightened of it. Tell you what, there's one thing that's true in this country's history. It's like no fucking working class, bottom rung, poor, like dirt poor person has ever risen to any height in the realms of literature, politics, or influence ever. It's like we've been permanently shut out unless we're going to be dancing comedians. Unless we're going to be Peter Kay, which is not an hard act to pull off, to be honest. It's just be the dick you are around your mates on television. Unless you're willing to be Peter Kay, unless you sing pretty, it's like you don't get nowhere. Like those who claim to speak for those at the bottom, they don't have any right to. They claim the right to. The left claim the right to speak on behalf of the poor because they've, seen them, watched movies about them. They've got no interest in this world at really finding out just how fucking dangerous and fucked up some people are. And how precarious the whole situation of their lives' stability is. You don't see it as to where there's no world. There's all worlds looking, all worlds of people looking out as to say, "Oh my God, have you seen her? What have you done?" And you'll see some like great big. I've seen this. It's like I have things that stay with me forever. The trans man, big girl. Walking around Manchester. She's gone the man route, walking around Manchester like a zombie, heavily pregnant. And you're like, what chance? Just what chance? And it's like you get a world where that's a reality, and it's a matter of they don't give a shit about people at the bottom. It depends on us, but we're a source of work for the class above us, the real people. We're a source of work for them, and they understand it. And that's how they see us. And I'm not talking about the globalists. I'm talking about those who feel as though they belong. Like they kind of, work for the council, work for the big corporation. They come across the people of the bottom and they're like, we don't even look. We're definitely not listening to you. Like, you might cast a spell on us. You might tell us something we don't want to hear that we can't unhear. And that's why working class bosses never go anywhere. You can go on a radio show. You can ring up George Galloway and they give you 2 minutes. And then no matter where you are, it's a matter of, hey, good call, see you later, fat fella. You can go on the BBC and then they'd be like, oh no, one slipped through. Damn, one slipped through us. And you can just blow them all to pieces and they'd be like, you're a very intelligent fellow. And you're not a man without charm either. It was a pleasure meeting you. We'll be in contact with you. We'll If we need somebody again, we'll give you a shout. You're like, okay. And you're like, that's their way of saying, fuck off. Don't try that again. And it's like, who are these Just Stop Oil people? Be a right old mixed bag, but I tell you fucking what. They'll be looking at who they're managing to recruit, and they'll be saying, oh, look at the huge diversity of crackpots we've found. Rich crackpots, middle-aged crackpots, poor crackpots, all crackpots. Everyone a crackpot. All fighting to do something, wanting to be part and contribute to something they think will save the world, but it's like they're not attached to reality. That's the only thing that matters to them. They're like singular in it. If they had a cause that was just, they would be a revolution. They would be phenomenal, but they don't have one. But they're behaving as if they have, and that's extremely dangerous. They're behaving as if they have a moral imperative, and they're fighting as if they have one when they don't. So it's like they are extremely dangerous and destructive people in that they're willing to do as much as they're willing to do. They don't want to get hurt. They don't want to get in any really serious trouble. They're not up for a fight, but they'll do everything else besides. Everything else besides. And they'll call it peaceful to remind everybody not to touch them. Well, the thing is, with peaceful protest, I think you should never call any protest a peaceful protest. And it's like, why? It's like, well, it's only got one way to go. You said it was peaceful and it wasn't, therefore it wasn't a peaceful protest, it was a violent protest. And I said, no, it was a protest. Fuck you and your rules. We're here to demonstrate. And if we have to demonstrate to you that we are not afraid of violence, we shall. It's like, you don't want me turning up protesting. Because I personally don't guarantee it. It's like, I might want to fucking hit someone back. I'll not guarantee I won't stand there and fucking take a beating and when the police are fucking beating on you. Because it does happen when they decide they've had enough and they want you. I mean, when they get sick of you. It's like, no, we stand there and we take the beating. We're peaceful protesters. So you get battered, and getting battered, you mouth off a bit, but that whack over the head actually has an effect on you and you never fucking come back. That's the only time you ever turn up to one of these gatherings, and it'll be the last time. Were it any good? Yeah, I got bashed over there off a cop and I ended up pissing myself. Why? Because I didn't get near a toilet for 5 hours. Didn't happen to me. Happened to plenty of others. A common story told. Don't get bottled in. Don't get surrounded. When the police are making a move to surround you, make that your move to go home. And let all the dickheads who aren't paying attention be imprisoned by the police and kettled in like Trafalgar Square. But you see, that doesn't fucking work either. That mass protest, all turn up, nah. But they like that because that can be seen as cathartic. So you're turning up to like get it out of your system, and it's like, no, fuck off home. And we're only entertaining you because there's so many of you. If you want to try this on your own, go with that. So it's like, Just Stop Oil. Understand that. Don't mass protest. What do? Direct action. What's that? Well, they can make anything in the world about climate change. It's a joke I've got. You can answer any question in the world with blaming climate change or shoot the messenger down by accusing them of being secretly gay. That's it. Now, the joke of making everything about climate change is a hilarious joke, because you can actually, if you want to really think about it, because of the nature of a carbon cycle, anything can be climate change. And making more and more absurd things about climate change can become a game, and it's funny if people know you're joking. Now, when that girl pours that bucket of shit over that monument to that guy, even though it was a half-assed monument, it wasn't a half-assed act, right? When she can make that about climate change and think herself in the right, big problem. That's a dangerous ideology that's out of control. She's detached from reality. That can be made part of what you're doing, it's a matter of these people are mental patients because of the associations they can make to climate change, where somebody might, I don't know, the bus doesn't turn up, climate change. It's raining, climate change. It's sunny, climate change. My car won't start, climate change. Price of my electricity's gone up, climate change. Pouring shit, climate change. Gluing yourself to a road. Oh well, it's all climate. It's the perfect act. If we can just completely stifle or even just stop, time is money. Let's fuck with a lot of people's time. We can end up, the knock-on effects of what we do can cost the economy billions if we choose the right places to strike. And they've thought about it. They've not gone as far as fucking with open motorway, even though they've tried, they've shit the pants and stopped. Although they have managed to do it on like places like the M25 where there's quite a few stops and starts. They've attacked that because you can attack that. It's like if you attack the M6 like that, one of you would just be splattered, and it'd be like, what were these people fucking thinking? But they have, over the last few years, most of the like motorway bridges at one stage have had graffiti on them, and it's still there. So you're driving around and you're seeing Extinction Rebellion all over these fucking motorway bridges all over the country. So it's like they've been working really hard. As a free-form excuse to fuck around, feel good about yourself, like narcissistic shared delusion. Oh, we're somehow making the world a better place. We're saving it. We feel good about ourselves doing things that are absurd and saying you're doing it to do with climate change, and then you've made it a matter of life and death. So now you ask the question, is art more important than life? And it's like, if you really tried to destroy that photo, somebody might try and kill you before you did. So the art's worth more than you. It's like, if you destroy that in your lifetime, would you be able to earn enough money to pay for the thing you destroyed? No, well, the art's worth more than you. Sorry, love. But you can fight, can't you, and disprove that and say, no, I was worth more than the art. You can destroy it and fucking win, Chuck Norris, just fucking kill everyone. You're not gonna do that. But it's like this level of delusion in the wrong place, the way that it is incredibly dangerous. And we don't get it, but there are those that do. If people who are making the same associations to, bring it all down, that's the only way we'll save it, destroy it, they're like, yeah, that's the right message. So they're doing things that are fucked, preaching to a choir who support it. My local vicar, former local vicar, who's a member of this, he's Extinction Rebellion, Insulate Britain, and now Just Stop Oil. He's just put up a GoFundMe to raise money for his legal costs. And then you look down the names of people who are donating money for his legal costs, and it's like, oh, he's only just put that up. Labour councillor. Like, oh, a couple of Labour councillors are giving him money, left the names up. Because they want it to be known that they support him in his efforts to force the government. That fanatical nonsense as to say, well, you know, everyone but us is wrong. We're fucking with your day, you're stuck in a line of traffic, and if you touch us, you're a violent criminal. And we'll see that you're prosecuted. All we're doing is trying to raise awareness to save the planet. They're not doing enough. We need just stop oil. Just stop it. And it's like, do you want me to stop the world turning while I'm at it? Because you really want us to? It's like the level of narcissism amongst these people is off the scale and extremely dangerous. It's like, I get it. I mean, I'm happy to engage with people like that. Shit, it's like, Mark could be seen as being one of the masterminds of Extinction Rebellion, for being somebody who turns up and brings other people with him and drives people around and goes to meetings and recruits members at functions, does talks all over the place. It's like, do you think that like half a year I spent like every month or so, about every month we used to do it, I used to go around and have a chat to him for like 2 hours. Do you think I made him more or less radical? Well, more, of course. Look at the state of the guy. There's kind of things I don't think he understands as to where I've gone, and I've sat and I've played devil's advocate. And it's like he's committed. Like hyper passionate about wanting to save the world, believing it to be like doomed, and it's like, so certain things on the climate change thing he could not be reasoned with, and it'd be a matter of these notions of like I don't go for the climate change thing. I think it's bullshit. I think you need to be aware of what you pollute in the atmosphere with. Absolutely. Not in favour of pollution. I think you should know. We know enough about chemistry these days to do a good job of where we dump things that are toxic. We can do a good job of it. We know, we get it, so we should do more of that. It's like, this stuff's deadly, right, stick it at the bottom of an abandoned coal mine. This stuff, oh, we can just dissolve this into the water, it won't do no harm to no one. Do it. I'm all for that. I'm all for the safe disposal of industrial byproducts and dangerous materials. I think that's a good idea. I think you should try and leave the world in a good shape and not with messes to clean up for later generations to deal with. I think that's like vandalism. But your CO2 thing, I don't buy it, but it's like, okay, let's say that you're right. Okay, let's entertain you. I'm even willing to entertain, and I think everyone is. They're willing to entertain him and say, well, looks like the message got through to you, and like these days, the car you drive, right, is like miles more powerful and efficient than the one you were driving 20 years ago with a much smaller engine, and it's giving better fuel consumption, much better fuel consumption. So we've re-engineered the cars with that in mind. It's not enough. We need you to stop using petrol and diesel engines. Excuse me? It's like, we've just made these things like miles more economical, and we're spending money on it, and we're making them even more economical. We're making them even better. Because you've driven us with this economy notion, which we've taken on board because that actually drives our innovation. We're making better stuff because we're being asked to be more economical to save the world from climate change. So it kind of suits us. It's a kind of mission you've given us, and we've made money out of it, and we've shown we're good at it. So us engineers, give us a pat on the back. We've worked out all kinds of fucking stuff because of this necessity you gave us. And then these guys have come along and said, sorry, it's not enough. And you go, oh, hang on, you climate change guys. When is it enough? We struggle to, this thing you're saying is going to destroy us. We're struggling to measure it. When is it going to be enough? And the answer to it is when we say so. And it always was and always will be. It's when we say so. The disaster, the catastrophe is over when we say it's over. And when might that be? Well, not in my lifetime. It's the dirtiest, fattest, most toxic scam in the world because it's based on superstitious notions of the end of the world being some kind of fiery, disastrous cataclysm that if you think stupid enough, you can maybe imagine. There's neighbourhoods in South Wales. You could nuke them and you wouldn't know it had been nuked. A few more holes in the road and a few more broken windows, but that'll be all. Spoke recently, said, look, me, there's a war on two fronts here. So we've got international fantasist, narcissist, death cult, and a sex cult that wants to indoctrinate all the kids. And it's like, are they two different things? It's like, no. It's like sex, talk to kids about sex is what they do during the day, and then talk about how our side are going to conquer the world is what they're doing at night. Turning up for some fucking hawky Wiccan ceremony or come mock fucking satanic church with some woman preacher. That's, you know, the spiritual side of it. It's like you have to understand these people are not just one thing. They are totally rounded individuals and fit nicely into these two things that interlock. Morbid obsession of death and sexual sadomasochism, or have in that way been wounded. That's who they are. So it's a matter of, you know, you can get a taste for all kinds of things. It's like, I'm like one of these whatever floats your boat thing, but it's a matter of, don't be teaching other people tricks like that. Let them find out on their own. Let you be the honest beneficiary of someone having been adventurous, let's say. Let's make it a naturally dirty thing, as a friend of mine used to say. You don't really want to know. It's like, don't be teaching fucked shit to kids. Have them giggling and chuckling. You know what us kids were like when we were all little boys? 4 and 5 year olds. You could talk dirty to 4 and 5 year olds and get 4 and 5 year olds giggling. Did you know that? Well, they do it and they say, you know, these kids are sexual creatures. It's like, fucking right they are. That's why you don't talk to kids about sex. We've discovered it. We started to talk to these kids about sex all the time. And it turns out that they're very sexual creatures. And it's like, that's why you don't talk to kids about sex. It's like you've decided to forget everything humanity knew about itself for thousands of years and then decided that you've just discovered something. It's like this evil, right, that's grinding people up, repurposing them. It's dumb. And do you know why it's evil? Because it never looks back. It doesn't care what kind of damage it did to people. It thinks that it did them a favour and gave them a blessing. That's why it's evil. Same band. The death cult is the sex cult. The sex cult is the death cult. And they should come round, right, with a bucket of shit and throw it at me to say, see, this is what your climate change gets you. I mean, in their logic, that computes. Because it's everything. It's all about dick and doom.